Yeah, Mr. Lim, or Mr. Tan, or Kumaran, or even Melvyn.
Thank you for that question. I wish to address one part of the question about the change of government. Now, I know to many of you, this scenario of a change of government seems implausible. But let me say this. I think after 60 years, this neoliberalism has run its course, certainly in Singapore. For 60 years, Singaporeans believed in the PAP, believed in the PAP policies, that in return for my vote, you will take care of me, you will give me the good life. But what have Singaporeans discovered today? That they cannot retire comfortably. Actually, their most prized asset, the HDB flat, is not even an asset. They do not have enough CPF savings to live on because everything has been used up for that purchase of the HDB apartment. And I think all over the world, if you look at it, whether it is in America or in England, in the UK, the neoliberal course has exhausted itself. You find in England in the 2017 elections, when instead of wiping out Labour, the Conservatives were almost wiped out. And the Conservatives have been the arch spokesman for neoliberalism. You found out in the 2016 presidential elections in America, Bernie Sanders came within a whiff of winning the Democratic nomination. And it is because people are tired of this neoliberal thought. At the end of the day, we realize that, much as Lee Kuan Yew would like to suggest to us, that this is a dog-eat-dog world, that all of us have to compete and survive, that there is social Darwinism. We realize that, no, there is a better way, that we can actually achieve a lot more if we cooperate with each other. And I think that is the vision of a government that we must have going forward.
Thanks. Next, Kumaran or Mr. Tan.
Yeah, all the speakers can have a chance.
I want to echo what Tean said about the neoliberalism policy and what's happening around the world. We are going to see, I think, in Britain, this socialist, Jeremy Corbyn, is likely to win the next election because the mood of the people are for him. Same with America. Bernie Sanders is 75, but he's getting very good support. So these government policies will have to change. I want to address two issues. One about the new citizens. Don't worry, give the new citizens 2 years and they get fed up with the PAP. That's my guess. Quite a number are already voicing that. Because they feel the same pressure that the Singaporeans are facing. Now, my next point is about what's wrong with the government policy, their thinking. Some of us say they run the country like a corporation, not like a government. Now, what you see is in every ministry, they all want to look at their KPI, bottom line, cut costs. That's why they want to do outsourcing to cut costs. That's why Singaporeans don't have jobs. So the biggest problem, I think, is the government philosophy that they should run the country like a company, a corporation. A government should be different. The government should be running what is in the public interest. Sure, you want to be efficient, you want to be wasteful, that's right. But what's important to the public? And what's important to the public is they want to have services at affordable rates, not pay high medical charges so that doctors can become rich. They want to have services, education, health, public services, water, all these to be at cost, not with profit margin. And also, they want to have the security of jobs. Sure, we are going to have automation and so on. That means there will be less jobs. Now, when you have less jobs, there are two things you can do. One is whatever job you have, distribute among your population. It means you work less hours. Everybody work less hours so that the jobs can become more distributed. The other is there are quite a number of new jobs that can be created. I give you the example of Japan. Japan leaders are very wise. Singaporean leaders are very short-sighted, generally. Japan leaders are very wise. I read this story about there was a bus service. And after a while, there was nobody using the bus except one girl going to school. And they still run the bus service because they say, we already got a bus, we got a bus driver. If we stop bus service, the bus driver do nothing. And how is the girl going to school? Of course, if they can make more productive use of the bus driver to fetch more people, that's fine. If they don't, might as well keep the bus driver occupied. Yes, it's a cost to the society, but the Japanese says it's worthwhile to keep people employed rather than people idle. So we need a different philosophy about what is the role of government. And the role of government is to make sure the welfare of the people. And I think, okay, there's one other point about the opposition parties, the Lian parties and so on. I've met quite a few of the political leaders and I said, if you just say the PAP policies are bad, people agree with you, but they say, I still don't trust you. Can you deliver? All right, I don't like the PAP, but I still don't like Lian's party or Ji Sun Juan's party because I don't know. Will you do something better? So my suggestion to them is you must have certain solutions, policy solutions that people can support. So one of them I said is abolish GST. Do you support that? The second one is reserve public sector job for local. All right, so do you support that? Okay. And third one is in the private sector, create the equalization so that employers will find it better to employ locals. So these are policies that if the political parties, they want to be independent for whatever reason, but if they share the same thinking, then maybe the people will say, yes, I don't care whether you are wearing red or green or blue, you have the same policy, which is what I think the Pakatan Harapan is doing. And in Malaysia, I've been following very closely. Tomorrow, there is going to be a talk in ICS, Institute of Southeast Asian Study, on the Malaysian election. I'm going to attend there. And I've been reading that the one very big issue is the cost of living. And that cost of living is contributed largely by GST, and partly the ringgit is weakening, but largely by GST. So I think if we have a voice to say, let's make some of these major changes, then maybe the people will be willing to vote.
Yeah, Mr. Leong, Kumaran, say something before we go.
Thank you. So I'm just going to answer the question. I'm not going to deliver a second speech here.
just addressing on the point of innovation. I think this has got to do with the corporate culture. And if you look at the example of Apple, what they've done is when people come up with good ideas, they set up a separate SBU to look at a particular suggestion and see whether if it works. So that's something that you can bring back to your organization. Okay, second on the point of wages, I think some people brought up something about wages being depressed, minimum wage, and etc. So globally, there's this, because of this globalization trend. I start a company in Singapore, I can outsource it through freelancer, e-lancer, to someone working in Ukraine, Pakistan, and so on. So there is a general tendency to depress wages. And the response to that has to be at the policy level. It's not, can't expect businesses to do that. I think Lim Tian brought a very good point that the world, including Singapore government, is becoming too right-wing. I mean, so I suppose that we need to address wages at the policy level. There was also one question on CPF, that why can't you withdraw? I wrote an article. This was at the time Roy Nung was campaigning for return my CPF. If you look at CPF, I think what Minister Tharman has said is to compare CPF with the savings rate, and they were paying similar. They were paying higher rates than what banks would pay, so they justify keeping the money. So we actually wrote an article saying that, look, with banks, when you put the money, you have liquidity. You can go to the bank, you can withdraw. Even if it's fixed deposit, you can withdraw. There might be a small penalty, but you can withdraw your money. But the problem with CPF, you're paid very low interest rates and you can't withdraw. So our suggestion was to say that, hey, look, the government needs to review this. Either they pay us proper returns on investment. That means if Temasek is making 17%, net of your administrative fees, the money should go to CPF, the individuals, right? So this is something that we need to put pressure on. It is still the elephant in the room, and I think we need to put pressure on the government to say that, look, if you want to keep the money until we are 62, fair, but you got to pay us 15% or 16%, whatever the market rates are, right? And then we need to benchmark against that. Otherwise, give us the ability to withdraw sooner. If you're going to pay us just above what POSB Bank is paying, then you've got to give us the right to withdraw. So that's something that we need to press, also at the policy level. Okay. Temasek's investment strategy, I think someone brought up or someone alluded to that. Their strategy today is to invest in high-yielding market. I think Lim Tian brought up the point about 800 billion. I'm not sure if the number is correct, but assuming if it's correct, that's almost 75-80% of our entire reserves. Their strategy is to invest in high-yielding markets, and they're taking the money back. But the money is not trickling down to the people. It's not coming down to the people. So again, I think we need to revisit the entire, retirement scheme of how the government can actually put some of the money back into our CPF accounts, either through higher returns on investment or to pay dividends, some kind of mechanism. So that needs to be worked out. And then the final point about opposition works together, I echo the sentiments on the ground, and I think that there's a need for different parties to come together. I understand there are policy level differences, maybe differences in personality, but I think it's imperative for people to work together to really take the monster down, right? With that note, I think I'll pass the mic back to Gilbert. Oh.
I think most of the questions center around, we have so many problems, so many issues, we need to change, the odds are stacked against us, what can you do, more or less. Actually, I'm quite optimistic, because if you study history, particularly Chinese history, the more oppressive the emperor, the sooner the dynasty will fall and change will come. Why do you think there are so many new laws, fake news law coming out, Contempt of Court Act, Protection of Harassment Act? Because they are afraid. What are they afraid of? They are afraid that more people will know. They're afraid of awareness. They're afraid of awareness of the real information. So many of you have always asked me, what can I do as one person? Share the awareness, share the real information. Share today's video on your Facebook. WhatsApp all your friends about today's video. If 1 million people watch today's video, change will come very soon.
Well, some light at the end of the third tenor. Mark, Mervyn, a word before we go. Come, Mark. Come. Mervyn, come. Say something before we call it a day.
Thank you again, Gilbert, and thank you all of you. I think one of the things I would like to address with the change of government and the cohesiveness of the opposition, I guess one of the things which we need to look at is essentially what we, as an individual person, as an individual people, what are we willing to do? If we're going to come out with a statement like my HDB flat is the only asset that I have, and if I pass away, it's going to be left only 20, 30 years left. This is going to be left to my legacy, my kids, or whatever it is. I think we have all failed as a human being, and we have all failed as achievers, or whatever that might mean. But to anybody who is less than 30 years old, those who have gone through the university days, the school days, and even up to now, I can honestly tell you, I'm sad to say this, we have actually honestly done a lot and achieved a lot less than what our parents have had during that time in the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s. We as a generation, the second generation after perhaps myself and below, we have all failed. But unfortunately, the question comes back to me to say, who am I to have said that statement or made that statement or to determine who is a success or who is a failure? But I will only go back to say one thing which I started this afternoon, which is, if you continue to do exactly the same thing, hoping for a different result, that's insanity. That is a quote by Albert Einstein. And also, one thing I really like to emphasize to all of us, especially Gilbert, our friends, Lian, and some of the other distinguished speakers, I really want to say this, is that we cannot negotiate from a position of weakness. All right? We either unite, sell off all our HDB flats, get a humongously huge sum, and fight the monster. Basically, that's it. Just remember this, we cannot negotiate from a position of weakness. Thank you. And do what you can.
Thanks, bro.
Thank you.
I'll just sell your HDB flat. But if you lose money, don't go after me, go after him. Yeah, we thank you, alright, for coming.